What if I told you the Mexican border wasn't just a line dividing nations, but a portal to something far more mysterious? Stretching across vast deserts and rugged landscapes, this region hides tales that would send shivers down even the bravest spines. It's not just a place for smugglers, migrants, and border patrols. Oh no. Beneath the surface, it's a hotspot for the supernatural. Ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, and even whispers of demonic possessions. Think it's all just folklore? Think again. Stories from the borderlands aren't just chilling, they're downright bizarre. Imagine stumbling across glowing-eyed creatures, hearing cries that aren't human, or feeling the weight of unseen eyes as you navigate the desolate terrain. These aren't bedtime stories. They're real accounts from people who've dared to venture too close to the unknown. If you've ever wondered what happens when true crime, conspiracies, and high strangeness collide, you're in for a wild ride. But here's the kicker. The mysteries of the Mexican border might just reveal truths about our own fears, our own beliefs, and maybe even our connection to the unexplainable. So buckle up, because once you cross into this world, there's no turning back. The borderlands between the US and Mexico have a reputation for being places of high strangeness, where reality blurs into something unexplainable. Border Patrol officers swapping ghost stories by the fire have reported shadowy figures darting through the desert. Ones too quick and too silent to be human. Migrants trekking through the unforgiving landscape whisper of eerie voices calling their names, only to find no one there. It's as if the Mexican border itself breathes with the spirits of those who never made it across. Every now and then, someone speaks of La Llorona, her mournful wails blending with the howls of coyotes, sending chills down the spine. There's an unsettling theory among locals. These strange encounters are tied to the unresolved fates of the many who've perished along the way. A Nogales ghost sighting once spooked a seasoned patrolman so deeply, he transferred to a desk job, leaving behind stories of a phantom woman cradling a bundle at the riverbank. Paranormal enthusiasts claim that border ghosts linger because their last moments were spent between worlds, neither here nor there. The legends of hauntings, possessions, and high strangeness at the border have birthed a culture of fear and fascination. One story stands out. A group of travelers recalls an encounter with glowing orbs hovering silently above them, pulsing like UFOs ready to abduct. Others in the group dismissed it as exhaustion-induced hallucination, but one man insisted they were alien spirits guiding the lost to safety. Whether Mexican extraterrestrials or ghosts, it's impossible to tell, but the eerie phenomena refuse to be ignored. True crime and horror lovers would argue it all aligns with the occult nature of the region's violent past. Adding to the mystique, conspiracy theorists propose that some of these entities aren't ghosts or aliens but interdimensional beings drawn to the chaos of the border. Strange disappearances, mysterious deaths, and stories of witchcraft swirl around campfires. A few brave souls even recount tales of demons stalking the desolate highways, as if the Mexican border has its own supernatural border patrol. What makes these stories even creepier is the thread of truth tying them to real-life events. So, the next time you hear about hauntings or unexplained phenomena along the Mexican border, think twice. Maybe it's not just a campfire story. Maybe the veil between this world and the next is thinner there, stretching over a land rich with life, death, and everything in between. Speaking of haunted lands, have you ever wondered what happens when an entire village vanishes, leaving behind only restless spirits? Just south of the border, tucked away in the arid landscape, lies a forsaken village whispered about in hushed tones. Once vibrant and full of life, this Mexican settlement was abandoned when the border wall's construction uprooted families and livelihoods. Locals say the villagers left in such a hurry that the air felt charged, like an ominous warning of what was to come. Now, ghostly figures are said to wander the empty streets, their spectral forms searching for the lives they were forced to leave behind. Visitors to the area have reported spine-tingling encounters. An American tourist swore he heard a woman sobbing in a decrepit chapel, only to find it empty except for the flickering shadows cast by his flashlight. Paranormal experts speculate these hauntings stem from the collective anguish of displacement, a wound etched deep into the soul of the village. The Day of the Dead takes on a chilling new meaning here, as the departed seem to join the living in mournful remembrance. Adding to the eeriness, conspiracy theorists claim the land itself was cursed long before the wall came. Stories of witchcraft and rituals in the village's past swirl like desert dust, adding another layer to its mystique. A cryptid resembling a massive wolf-like creature has been spotted prowling the outskirts, its glowing eyes a beacon of dread for the brave few who dare explore. Could these be echoes of the village's sins, or something far darker? Even more unsettling are the strange deaths associated with those who attempt to stay overnight in this ghost town. A seasoned urban explorer recounted waking to the sensation of hands choking him, only to find the marks on his neck when he fled. Others speak of possessions, mysterious illnesses, and apparitions that mimic their loved ones. The ghosts of this village seem to demand acknowledgement, as if seeking justice for their neglect. What makes this all the more haunting is the idea that these spirits might never find peace. They're trapped, tethered to a place lost to time and tragedy. And yet, tales of glowing orbs and shadowy figures are just the beginning. Have you ever heard about witches living on the outskirts, casting spells under moonlit skies? One woman's terrifying encounter might convince you they're more than mere myth. Heart pounding, Inez retreated, certain she was being followed. The next morning she awoke to the news. The old woman had been found dead in her home. Some said it was natural causes, but the timing felt too eerie to dismiss. Locals speculated the witch had summoned something she couldn't control, something that lingered even after her death. People began noticing strange lights hovering around the property at night, casting eerie reflections on the dusty windows. Inez was no stranger to strange stories, but nothing prepared her for the chilling encounter that would change her life. It happened on a warm, moonlit night when she decided to confront her neighbor, a woman rumored to be a bruja. This so-called witch had been the subject of whispers in their small Mexican town near the border, and Inez couldn't ignore the odd happenings anymore. But as she approached the house, she froze. A tall figure with glowing eyes stood motionless by the doorway, its gaze piercing through the shadows. Paranormal enthusiasts believe Inez's sighting was no ordinary apparition. The glowing-eyed figure, they say, could be an interdimensional being or a demonic presence bound to the witch's dark rituals. Whether tied to Mexican ghosts or aliens, one thing's for sure, it wasn't human. True crime buffs might see a mundane explanation, but those who've lived near the occult insist otherwise. Stories like this are why paranormal seekers flock to border towns. Adding to the fear, other villagers began to report their own encounters, whispers in the wind calling their names, or shadowy forms darting between the trees. Even the bravest avoided the witch's house, now considered cursed. The borderlands are no strangers to high strangeness, but this event felt personal, like a warning to anyone meddling with forces beyond their understanding. The air around the witch's home seemed permanently heavy, as if it held the residue of something ancient and malevolent. Inez's story spread far beyond the village, becoming a cautionary tale about stepping too close to the supernatural. But strange tales don't end here. Across the desert, two boys would soon find themselves face to face with a predator capable of mimicking the sound of a woman's cries, a predator that would cement the borderlands as a place of terrifying mystery. In the heart of a ghost town near the Mexican border, two boys stumbled across something they'd never forget. The town, abandoned decades ago, was a playground for their adventures, until the sound of a woman's cries shattered the silence. It was faint at first, but as they followed the noise, it grew louder and eerier, pulling them toward an old well at the edge of town. That's when they saw it, a massive creature resembling a feline but grotesquely distorted. Its glowing eyes locked onto them, and with a guttural snarl, it disappeared into the shadows. Shaken but curious, the boys returned home and shared their story. Locals immediately recognized the description. La Bestia, they called it, a cryptid said to haunt the borderlands, preying on the vulnerable. What sent chills down everyone's spines was the creature's mimicry of a woman's wails, a tactic it used to lure its victims. Days later, news broke of migrant deaths near the border, and some swore the beast's cry had been heard in the area that very night. Paranormal researchers believe the creature is tied to both folklore and unexplained deaths, its origins rooted in ancient legends of shapeshifters and spirits. The boys' encounter wasn't the first. Similar sightings have been reported by border patrol officers, travelers, and even smugglers. Could this predator be a cryptid, a supernatural entity, or something entirely otherworldly? Theories abound, but no one can agree on what it is, or how to stop it. Adding to the mystery, some claim the creature only appears in places heavy with despair and loss. Ghost hunters who ventured into the town have reported unexplained scratches on their equipment, distorted recordings, and the same chilling cries the boys heard that night. The abandoned town, once a symbol of life at the border, now feels like a trap set by something far older and darker. For the two boys, the encounter became a haunting memory, a tale they shared in whispers. But in the broader picture, It's just another piece of the strange puzzle that is the Mexican border. What else might be lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? If you think this is unsettling, wait until you hear Mario's story, a migrant who came face to face with something even more terrifying. Mario had heard the warnings before. The borderlands weren't just dangerous, they were cursed. But like many migrants, he was focused on surviving the journey, not the eerie tales. His group had been traveling under the cover of darkness, the desert's vast silence amplifying every crunch of gravel underfoot. Then it happened. A voice, unmistakably that of their guide, called out from behind. Mario froze. Their guide was ahead of them. So who or what was imitating him? The group stopped in confusion, but before anyone could act, a reptilian creature emerged from the shadows. Its scaly skin glistened in the moonlight, its elongated limbs moving with an unnatural fluidity. The creature's mouth opened, and in the guide's voice, it issued a warning: turn back or you'll meet your end. Panic rippled through the group, but fear of the border patrol and the journey ahead outweighed their terror. They pressed on, leaving the ominous figure behind. What happened next cemented the encounter as more than a creepy story. As dawn broke, they stumbled upon a scene of carnage, a group of migrants who hadn't been as lucky. Their bodies were clawed and broken, as if by some beast far too large to be natural. Mario couldn't shake the thought that the creature's warning had been an attempt to spare them a similar fate. The encounter left him wondering if the borderlands weren't just haunted but also patrolled by entities guarding against trespassers. Speculations about the reptilian figure ran wild. Some linked it to stories of Mexican extraterrestrials and UFO sightings, suggesting it was an alien protecting its territory. Others claimed it was a demon, an enforcer of supernatural justice for those who dared cross its path. The strangest theory tied the creature to interdimensional beings, arguing that such entities might appear where the veil between worlds is thin. For Mario, the creature was a grim reminder that the dangers of the border extended far beyond the natural. The desert holds secrets, ones that may never be fully understood. And as he shared his story, it became another thread in the tapestry of paranormal mysteries that define the region. After all, when the borderlands whisper, are they trying to warn, or lure, you in? So what do you think? Are the borderlands a breeding ground for the supernatural or just a magnet for wild imaginations? The stories you've just heard, from ghostly hauntings to cryptids mimicking human voices, are more than tales to spook your friends. They challenge everything we think we know about reality, hinting at worlds that exist just beyond our perception. What if the mysteries of the borderlands are a mirror to the unknown parts of ourselves? But here's the real question. What would you do if you found yourself face to face with something unexplainable? Would you run, stay, or try to uncover its secrets? The answers might not just reshape your understanding of these stories, they could change how you see the world. If you're as fascinated by the strange, eerie, and downright terrifying as we are, don't let the curiosity end here. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us on a journey that goes beyond the basics. There's so much more to uncover, and who knows? The next story might just make you a believer.